there, and welcome to the Attacking Anxiety and Depression workshop. My name is Ashley and I'm one of the therapists at Counseling Services, and today we're going to be talking about test anxiety. Many students feel more anxious before a test, and test anxiety can look like worries, dread, and fear of failing your test. And for many students, once they start feeling anxious during a test, they stop focusing on the questions being asked and end up answering questions that they knew wrong. So I'm going to teach you some techniques that you can use while you study, before your exam, and even during your exam to help you manage any test anxiety you might be feeling. First off, let's talk about anxiety-reducing coping skills. Now, any anxiety-reducing coping skill will work, but these are some of my favorite. So let's start with deep breathing. Now, we know that deep breathing will engage the calming system in our brain, which makes our minds and our bodies more calm and less anxious. The second skill I want to talk about is a grounding skill called Describe Your Environment in Detail. And this is just like how it sounds. In your mind, describe everything that you can see in as much detail as possible until you feel less anxious and more calm. And lastly, I want to talk about engaging in positive self-talk. So we know that our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions are all connected. Therefore, when we have negative self-talk, like, I can't do this, I'm going to fail this test, we're going to feel more anxious. On the same idea, if we engage in positive self-talk, like, I got this, I can get through this, we're not only going to feel less anxious, you're going to feel more confident about your test. So I chose these skills particularly for test anxiety because you can do them anywhere at any time. You don't need any added material, and no one even has to know you're doing them, which makes them great to be able to do during a test. So now that we've talked about some anxiety-reducing skills, let's talk about how to use them. So it all starts with when you're studying. As you feel yourself getting more anxious or engaging in some of that negative self-talk, take a break. Even if it's just for a minute, to use an anxiety-reducing skill. Feel more calm, and then you can come back to studying feeling more able to focus and more confident. And this is the exact skill that I want you to use during your test. So it can be great to practice it while studying, so it can feel more natural come test time. So on the day of your exam, before your test, it can be helpful to start engaging in that positive self-talk early, to sit somewhere you feel really comfortable in the classroom, and to avoid people who might be anxiously talking about the exam. And once you get that exam, some people like to look over the whole exam right away. That way you know what's expected of you in that time frame. It can also be really helpful to read every question all the way through. And if you find that you're feeling anxious or you're having a hard time focusing enough to read that whole question all the way through, that's going to be the time that you take a break. Use one of your anxiety-reducing skills and then come back to the exam when you feel calm, confident, and you're able to focus on that whole question. It can also be helpful to skip a question if you don't know the answer to it. You can always come back to it later, and one of the questions later on the exam might help you remember the answer to that question. Also know that you can ask your professors questions if you don't understand what the question's asking of you. And keep engaging in that positive self-talk. I know you can do it. So these are some techniques that can be helpful to help you feel less anxious and more confident on your next test. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time.